Where do women leaders go for real, unfiltered conversations regarding issues we don't often talk about openly? This is the place and the space. Welcome to Still I Rise, where we not only talk about it, we say the quiet part out loud. And remember to chime in on topics you'd like to have us discuss. Join us for Still I Rise. Thank you for joining us for another Still I Rise podcast. I think this is number 4. Thank you for those who have subscribed. Please share, follow, like, comment. Let us know what you want to hear about. You can reach us. Look at the chat right there. Look, there's information in the chat. You can reach us at any time to let us know what topics you want to talk about. Today, we're going to talk about something I have never in my entire career, and Sonya, I don't know if you've done this, I've never mentioned this word in my entire career in the workplace.
Never.
And that word is menopause.
Never.
Menopause. Never mentioned it.
Never.
And yet it is so real. As a matter of fact, there was a 2023 Mayo Clinic study that found that menopause symptoms caused women ages 45 to 60 to miss an estimated $1.6 billion in work time annually. All I've ever known about menopause is hot summers, fans, sweat.
Yep.
You know, you want to make sure you didn't kill anybody. Yeah, do you remember your menopausal days?
Oh my God, do I ever? I recall a situation I had, Paula, that I recall was kind of traumatic, to be honest with you. And it was related to a menopause episode. And you want me to tell you
hurt somebody?
I didn't hurt anybody, but it was during a pivotal point in my career. I was asked to give a keynote address. And I was, of course, anxious about this opportunity. And so here I am in this auditorium full of people, Paula. The first thing that made it bad was the person who introduced me did this too damn long introduction, too long, and ended it by saying, and now Dr. Sonya Gunnings Moton, right?
Oh, I've heard this story before. Yes, you told me that one. Yeah.
So she introduced me as a moron. And so
that was good, right?
Yeah. So I had to go on stage and let them know I may be a moron, but no one's ever called me that to my face. And then all of a sudden, it was like this hot flash. So I know it's anxiety triggered. I mean, I started, sweating like Niagara Falls, girl. It was bad. And I'm like, shit, not now, please. Don't let me go through this right now. And I got through it, but I remember that hit me hard. I was like, I don't believe that. What could I have done to have been prepared for that? Nothing other than maybe chill and calm myself a little bit. But, this whole topic about menopause, and as you said, it's not something we talk about. It's not something I would admit to anyone.
At some point we're going to have a guest coming on, Cheryl Bergman, who is the CEO of the Michigan Women's Commission, is going to be joining us momentarily. But I would play devil's advocate pretty well on this one. Why is it an employer's job or issue to deal with that? We are females. This is what we do. It's part of our normal body function. I was more concerned about my periods than I was, something leaking out than I was actually menopause.
Right.
But when you look at some of the health, impacts of this, dementia, cardiac, all sorts of things that could lead to that menopause can contribute to, I should put, then it's worthy of a conversation. But why is it an employer's issue? I mean, men don't come to us if they have function and say, I need a place to go. Why is it there? Why is it an issue for employers?
Well, I think it's something to talk about, because I think the issue really gets into the whole dialogue around accommodations. And is it worth a business to say, I need to sustain my good employees? Those who are delivering the goods, I need to keep them here and engaged in producing. And that might necessarily imply that there are some things that I might need to accommodate in order to keep
in this very competitive environment where you're trying to find workers and employers. The number one issue for employers is trying to find qualified workforce.
Absolutely.
So if you can get a competitive advantage. Yeah.
That's right.
So
if you want to keep good people, let's hear what Cheryl has to say.
Absolutely. Cheryl Bergman, thank you so much for being here with us. Dr. Gunnings and I have been talking about menopause. We've been talking about women in the workplace and how you say the quiet part out loud and all the things that women never really talk about or are concerned about or ashamed or afraid or concerned to talk about in the workplace. And certainly menopause fits right into that category. It is one of those issues. I don't think I've ever even mentioned the word menopause in my entire career in the workplace. But when I met with you and you shared with me and some members of our team about, and then even ARP even actually did some work on that too, about the economic impact, the health impact to women, and why it's such a critical issue. So share with us some of what you've been talking about, what you've been going across the state doing, and why is menopause something that is almost taboo to talk about in the workplace?
Right. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. This menopause has become my very favorite topic. And I'm so glad that we're talking about it. So the Michigan Women's Commission, we hosted a webinar back in 2023 during Mental Health Awareness Month about menopause and how it can show up in the workplace. And that's really just before like Oprah and all these others started really talking about it on the national scene. And we got so much feedback and so many questions from women that we're like, we need to do some more. So we created a survey with a PhD student, menopause in the workplace. We released that all last year and this year. We're going to close it off at the end of this year, end of December 31st of this year. We've got nearly 1,000 responses. And what we found is that 60% of our respondents are saying that they know nothing about perimenopause or menopause, what to expect. Their doctors don't talk to them about it. Not the doctor's faults. They're not educated. So that's something we're going to be working on.
Only 7% of the internists and OBGYN, only 7% of them feel like they are skilled or they know enough to talk about this issue.
That's right. They're not taught. There are about 3,000 menopause certified physicians in the whole country. So as we've been traveling the state, we've made sure to find every darn one of them here in Michigan and have them in our conversations. Mm-hmm. So that's been really, really wonderful. But yeah, there's just not that many. So that's something that we need to work on.
Cheryl, you said 60% of those that you surveyed, as I'm taking these notes here, know nothing about menopause, perimenopause, and so forth. And I'm wondering if there's a relationship or correlation to that, because we don't feel comfortable asking or talking about. So of course we wouldn't be positioned to get information. Ask. That's right.
We don't know what to ask. So so that's why we said, all right, we need to educate ourselves and we need to hit the road and find people who can educate us. So that's what we've been doing all year. We launched the conversations in March. Governor Whitmer hosted us at her home with Halle Berry, was a special guest. And Halle Berry's been using her platform to advocate for menopause awareness and research and all of it. And she was amazing. And she's so passionate. And she's still working with us. There's been some legislation introduced in the Michigan House and Senate. And she is working with us to advocate for that and may come back into Michigan to testify at the hearings about this. So we're really excited to have
12 states or something passed legislation already? Or 11 or 12?
16 states have introduced legislation.
Okay.
Not as many have passed it yet.
Okay.
But I don't know that number exactly, but it's less. 16 have introduced some kind of legislation, which is a big progress, especially since we haven't even been talking about it in the last several years.
So what do women say? Give us some advice. Give our listeners some advice. What do they say? You said Dr. Gunnings made the point that we don't elevate the issue in the workplace. How do we do that? Give us some tips on if we're going through menopause or perimenopause. What do we say?
Yeah,
hey, I'm going through menopause. We wear a badge or shirt. What do you do?
Well, this is what we've learned. That 87% of our respondents say that the symptoms affect them at least some in the workplace. 45% say that they don't perform as well due to symptoms. Mm-hmm. 80% say that it affects their job satisfaction. And 2%, 6 women, plan to leave the workplace within 12 months due to symptoms in Michigan. And that equates, we've got about 1.1 million Michigan women aged 35 to 54. And if only 50% of them are experiencing symptoms, it could equal about 10,000 women leaving the workforce due to menopause symptoms every year. And nationally, 10% of women leave the workforce due to menopause symptoms. And that was Mayo Clinic survey. So what we're hearing is that we said, well, what do you want? What do you need in the workplace? And I've been searching high and low in Michigan for employers who are doing some things specific. And I'll tell you a little bit about a couple of them. One employer specifically, Miller Knoll, the furniture company. Andy Owen is a woman CEO for that company over in Grand Rapids, are doing some really cool things. But they say they want work from home and flexible schedules, 59%. They want ventilation and air conditioning. They want easy access to cold drinking water. They want easy access to washroom facilities, and they'd like some kind of resource packet. Now, those are pretty simple, inexpensive ways that employers can help. Right. So what our end goal is to use all of our survey data and put together a report that will have recommendations for lawmakers, for policy that the state can enact, as well as recommendations for employers. And there's more things that employers.
And for employers who are saying, well, why is this my problem? Why is this my issue? You know, and this is a female issue. There's an economic impact. Was like, I think the Mayo Clinic study that you referenced, $1.8 billion of work time is, well, yeah, that's significant. So listen up,
and if you add on the
up.
healthcare costs to that, due to menopause symptoms is like 2.6 billion or 26 billion, excuse me, 26 a year, but 1.8 billion in lost productivity. So they're not, they're taking time off or they're leaving the workforce, all of that. And I would argue that we are needed in the workforce with our expertise and our wisdom and where we're at.
Hey, like the whole world will collapse if we're not in the work. I mean, the whole economic structure, everything will collapse if women are in the workforce.
Absolutely. Yeah. And Sonya, you said you were experiencing menopause at the, height of your career. So
right.
Right.
Oh, I do know. I have a story I'll share. Actually, when Paula and I talked together, that I recall actually is quite traumatic at that point in time in my career. But when you and Paula were talking about the economic impact, and Paula raised the question about a business would say, why would this be of concern to me? I would, in addition to the financial costs that can be immediately derived, I would imagine issues of consistency and sustainability. So when people leave their work roles and suddenly or abruptly, or that there's some high turnover, because this is impacting women's decisions about whether or not they can sustain in those roles, I could see that being quite disruptive to the business itself.
And costly.
And very costly.
Very costly to replace an employee.
Absolutely. Especially women who we know excel in what they do anyway. So
Right. And they're at that age. We're at that age where we're in leadership roles in a lot of times. So it's really expensive to replace.
Absolutely.
I know at the listening sessions that women share their stories and they raise their hand. But if you're in the workplace, if you're in the C-suite, or if you're middle management and you're going through menopause, what would you suggest women say? There's no policy there. There's nothing. They're having a difficult time. Do they go to their direct supervisor and share this information and ask for what they want? Is that what's being suggested?
My question is, should we say anything? That's a good one. Do you say anything?
Well, here's what we're finding. We're talking to women who are CEOs, leaders of, nonprofits and corporations and the whole thing. And many of them are saying, I don't really want to speak up.
Right.
I'm afraid it will impact how I'm seen as a leader. And that's exactly the huge reason that we're holding these conversations, to change the culture. We deserve to be heard, and we deserve the care that we need to treat our menopause symptoms. And this is not just the hot flashes. This can lead to cardiovascular problems, diabetes, dementia. there's osteoporosis. So there's so many things that we need to be understanding on how it's not just the hot flashes, it's not just the symptoms, it's how we are preventing and living and thriving into our 80s and 90s. So, but we are hearing a lot, women in leadership saying, I'm nervous. So what we need a culture change, and we need it to be okay. We need our employers to have, this is one of the recommendations, that employers would have a go-to, whether it's in human resources or someone in management, a go-to person that you can go to and talk to about menopause and say, I think I'm suffering menopause symptoms. Can you help me get into a certified menopause physician? Will our insurance cover some hormone therapy? That's another thing. Insurance companies don't cover hormone therapy treatments very often. All of those things are recommendations. And I got to say, I am so glad, I've paused, and I learned so much from these conversations. And frankly, I'm mad because I wish I would have known now what I knew then, what I know now, because I wouldn't have suffered so much. And I don't want my daughter and the younger women behind us. I asked my mom when I started going through symptoms in my 40s, and I was like, how was it for you? And she's like, I don't know. I don't remember. It was fine, which is what most of our mothers and grandmothers would say. And my dad's behind her shaking his head and rolling his eyes, And my grandmother told me that she was prescribed, and this happens way too often, she was prescribed lithium for what she called her screaming meanies. I'm like, oh, hormonal rage? Yeah, okay. I mean, unbelievable. So
it's funny.
We're doing
Cheryl,
it for our mothers, our grandmothers, and then all the young women coming behind us.
Yeah, I remember having a conversation with my mother, actually, who was, a very highly educated woman when I was going through menopause, and telling her I was really struggling with the hot flashes part. And she told me at that time that Black women have earlier onset
That's right.
of menopause with more severe symptoms. And so I said, well, clearly I'm a Black woman that they should include in that study because it's kicking my butt. But I remember, just like you were saying with your mom, she was giving me all these sort of old school kinds of things. Well, you got to go from that nylon to that cotton and do this and that kind of thing. The thing, change how you dress and stop layering this, that, and the other thing. But all of the ownership of what needed to happen was all on me. Clearly, nothing about my environment, nothing about the place I worked was expected to bear any responsibility. So I'm strongly encouraged, Cheryl, that you and others are providing leadership around this, because this stuff is real. This is real.
Halle Berry can get out there and talk about it.
Right.
And others, Oprah and others. It helps to elevate the conversation. Cheryl, thank you so much. I just appreciate what you're doing and the way that you're doing it. I mean, it's not just a one and done, but it is a movement. That's what you were calling the menopause movement. And it's not just about women, but about men, women, employers, everyone. And so
all of us.
We need to,
and our mothers and our grandmothers,
and our children. And our children, exactly. I appreciate you. Thank you. Let the movement continue.
Keep the fight going, Cheryl. Keep the fight going. Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
So what do women say? We've got a little time left. Just what advice would we give women if they're, I know Cheryl said just to talk to someone and let them know.
Right. Yeah. But that was my question to her, Paula. And you, in your way asked her the same thing. I was concerned about, the first thing that went through my mind is, it's tough enough being a woman in these work environments who's trying to excel and thrive and so forth. And I just don't know if I'd feel comfortable going to anyone and saying this, that. But when she said that if it's a culture change in which there is an individual who's literally identified or has that particular role in the workplace that you can go to and say, Paul, I'm going through menopause, so I don't know if you and I can give me some strategies. And I think that's the way I would approach it is that I would maybe talk to my employer in a way that lets them know I'm willing to take some responsibility for doing some things differently, not just say, well, you need to have this in place and you need to have that in place. But, can you help me think of some ways I could be here?
But
I don't know.
employers, I mean, when you look at that $1.8 billion in lost
It's
productivity,
a
employers
lot of money.
also need to be mindful and not
Absolutely.
always, I may not be comfortable. I don't think I'd ever be comfortable going to an employer, anyone, anywhere I ever worked, and saying, I'm going through menopause and
Right.
I need to adjust the way that I
Right.
work. Paula Cunningham would not be comfortable doing that.
Neither
However,
would Sonya Gunnings Moton.
if an employer said to the entire workforce, we have women, we value our women, we have these cooling rooms for women to go to, they can work from
Yep.
home.
Yep.
If the employer initiated that, that would just warm my
That's
heart
right.
to no end.
That's the culture change she
That's
talked
the
about.
culture change. That's the
Yeah, she
culture
talked
change.
about that.
And even but women can talk to other women in the workplace and say, let's
Yes.
see if we can change this culture even before they
Yes.
go through menopause.
Yes.
For our children, for our grandchildren, they can go and say, listen, we want to go as a group and talk to HR.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Because everybody
get
gonna
your
go
own
through it.
mini
And I'm telling
movement
you, we should have looked up the statistic, how many murders were committed when women were
going. there probably is some data out there about that, because when you flame up, baby, you flame up, and somebody hits you at the wrong time with the wrong attitude, because with menopause comes this mood instability, and so
my cramps were bad. I know she wouldn't mind me saying this. Our mutual friend Deborah Dolman came to my office once and said at the college with a mink coat and gorgeous. By the time she left, that it's getting hot in here. Take off all your clothes. It's getting hot.
when you just have to. Oh, I could see Deborah doing that. The audience doesn't know Deborah, but I can see Deborah doing that. And then, but I think about those times when you asked if I memories of menopause when you're working, and I remember that I had to check myself at times, that I knew I was more easily triggered. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Instead of snapping at someone, bitch, I said not today.
Where's the curse jar? Where's the curse jar?
I don't have my jar. I'm gonna get my jar. And being more diplomatic and saying, oh, give me a little time, I'll take care of that. How do you take care of yourself in that is what I would like women to think about, is how we take care of ourselves in situations that are not taking care of us, Paula. I think that's the point.
Absolutely.
Because until that culture change comes, we got to take care of ourselves in that setting.
Yes.
And we've got to think about some ways to make that happen.
And as we close out on this, if you are going through that, or everyone will go through it. Think about Halle Berry, think about Oprah Winfrey, and other women who have come forward, other celebrities who come forward. Get a group of people and say, Mr. Mrs. Employer, here's something that will help give you a competitive advantage. And it's not expensive. What Cheryl was saying.
Right.
Excuse me, cooling, working from home, a little flex schedule. It's not expensive, but it certainly would help. And it's we need to say that quiet part out loud. We need to let people know menopause is real. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you. Don't forget, like, share, follow, subscribe. Even if you don't like us anyway, because we're women and we support each other.
There you go. Just push that like button and keep on going. This was informative.
Let us know what you want to hear. Yeah, and I think our next episode podcast, we're talking about hair and the Crown Act with Senator Sarah Anthony. So stay tuned for that. Yeah, braids, purple hair, pink hair, pressed hair. What does that mean? Does that
my afro hair?
Yeah, sexy. Stay tuned. All right, look forward to having you with us the next time. Like, share, follow, subscribe. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. So we'll have some time to talk about what she said. I'm having a
hot flash now because I'm drinking coffee.
There you go. So you're getting a hot flash now.
I'm having a hot flash now. I think it's the coffee.
Where the fans at? Oh, where the fans?
Because I will periodically have these hot flashes. I don't know if it's just because I'm pissed and worked up about something, or if it's something physiological that I'm going through.
Stop the recording. I don't know how to stop the recording. How do I stop the recording?
So maybe we just
There we
in
go.
the
There we go.
meeting.
Stop recording. I just got it.
You found it? Okay. So I'm walking
I think
around.
it lasts like 10 or 15 years. I mean, I've read that menopause can last up to 10 years.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. They say it's 45 to 55 window, and I'm sitting here, at 65 going, I think it spreads a little further than that.